Welcome to the VHS Club. I'm really excited to say this. I'm going to say this before I get distracted, but we tonight are watching a movie that was made in 1990 that was about a TV show originally from the 60s that's about a family that lives in 2062. So buckle up. We're going to the past, to the way past, all the way to the future. All of it's ridiculous.
Look, can we just say that it's the near future, by the way?
It is the near future. And most of my talking points for tonight are largely in credit to the fact that I watched this with my entire family and my kids had all the questions and feelings. Watching this with like young kids who grew up in today, where it was a ride. It's a ride. Thanks, Josh. This is Josh's recommendation. This is Josh's recommendation. Well, if you missed it or if you're brand new, welcome. This is the show where we review movies from the past, sometimes about the future. And tonight we are reviewing Jetsons the movie, which is 1990. So taking it way back. Taking it way back. And
to explain the Jetsons, I don't know. It's a cartoon from the 60s that reran in the 80s.
Yep.
We all watched it. Poor kids nowadays, no clue.
I know. I'm really sad
there's
that
no reruns.
there's no reruns, and I feel like for whatever reason, like Looney Tunes is still accessible. Like you can still find Looney Tunes, but Flintstones and Jetsons are not. And Yogi Bear, like the Hanna-Barbera crew, don't exist, and that makes me really sad. I was like watching it, I'm like, oh, we should watch the Flintstones, and my kids are like, don't know what that is. I was like, oh, this is depressing.
Like the Flintstone vitamins.
I know, that's literally what Dane said.
Nothing.
Dane was like, well, he's like, like the Flintstone vitamins, the chalky vitamins we gave you, and both kids were like, you gave us what? Like horror, non-remembering.
So the Jetsons is, again, it's initially from the 60s. It's about the atomic family. It takes place in space. It's just, stay-at-home mom who has a robot maid / nanny. There's a dog, Astro. There are two kids, Judy and Leroy.
Yep.
And dad goes to work, has a terrible boss, sits in traffic. Basically, it's our everyday life, but in space.
In space, yeah.
In space. So they have lots of cool gadgets to help them out with stuff. And yes, in this movie, I believe a lot of the cast was the same as the original cast, except for
all of them except for Judy. So like
Judy, who was played by pop icon star du jour, Tiffany.
Yeah.
First thought about this movie. Who cares about the plot? It's the Jetsons, guys.
We'll
get to the plot.
George ends up on an asteroid because he's terrible at his job, but also the fall guy. So they move the family. That's the plot.
But he's good at his job.
Yeah,
but his
boss is kind of a jerk. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Tiffany. We can dive into Tiffany.
Okay, so Tiffany, pop icon, voicing the daughter. And my immediate thought, so obviously there's a musical element to this cartoon. There are songs being sung by Tiffany. And I was like, when did this movie come out? Because I bet a Tiffany album was shortly thereafter released. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I'm like, so this movie was literally just to take something already successful, repackage it for the day,
Yep.
and launch Tiffany's second album. I'm like, 100% that's what happened.
Well, it
Love
makes
it.
so
Here for it. Great soundtrack, by the
well,
way, guys. Great soundtrack.
I'm here for it, but it's also okay. So Josh, I love you and I blame you for this journey into the facts of this movie, because the facts of this movie are so sad. Like they're like the first like 5 facts that we found in research for this movie are like all of the original actors just dying. Like they just like died making this movie, because again, the original series ran for
But they were older.
3 seasons in the early 60s, right? So so everyone was very old when this came out. So the guy who plays George Jetson, he actually like died making this movie. They had to read him the lines out loud, and his short-term memory was so bad that he had to just repeat the lines back. And then I guess he like had a stroke near the end of this movie, and they just had to like do a couple of lines without him. And it was the last movie for all of them, with exception of Tiffany. But Tiffany like was brought on to replace the original voice of Judy Jetson, and they like had hired the actress that had played Judy Jetson all the way through all of the movies. And then they were like, just kidding, we're going to put a celebrity in because we want to make like an album and we want it to be really successful. I was like, so everyone comes back and like basically dies making this movie, and like the one that doesn't, it was like, oh well, we wanted someone more famous. I was like, oh man. So
well, I feel like the record label and the movie studio or production company must have had some kind of deal.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
And I mean, like at the time, there was lots of movies. Like Vanilla Ice starred in a movie called Cool as Ice, which we should definitely rewatch. That. I remember loving that movie. And come at me, guys, but Cool as Ice and 8 Mile about Eminem's life, almost very similar, guys. And I know 8 Mile is supposed to be about Eminem's real life, and Cool as Ice was supposed to be heavily based on Vanilla. Like, patterns repeat, guys. It's Hollywood. Anyways, love it. No, but it was a thing. I mean, Vanilla Ice again was also in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. Arguably the better one of the movies. Anyways, I feel like it was kind of often these sort of popular type things, like nostalgic. They played on nostalgia to like as a platform to launch marketing is marketing.
Which they're still doing now. I mean, they're like that's why this show exists, is playing off of all your nostalgia. That's why all this stuff exists. But Josh says, which is actually a really good point, that he said that he mentioned in his review. So Josh has a movie blog, which we'll post in the description afterwards. But he said that by the time this movie came out, Tiffany was actually no longer as popular as she had been the year prior and earlier when she recorded the songs and the dialogue. This movie actually was delayed. I can't remember off the top of my head the reason. Maybe Paul or Josh can drop it in, but it was delayed,
was a couple years.
And it came out later, so she lost a little bit of that window too. But all in all, I will say, so it was a
cute movie.
It was a really fun. I don't know if I actually had. I don't remember whether or not I had originally seen it. Probably. I was definitely a kid who grew up absolutely watching both the Flintstones and the Jetsons a lot. Like that was kind of my kid repeat. That and again, Looney Tunes was another big kind of of the cartoons.
If you were homesick from school, you watched The Price is Right, and then The Jetsons,
soap operas,
and then Flintstones. Well, only
when I was homesick, I watched soap operas.
Young and the Restless.
Young and the Restless, yeah.
Is
but
Victor
I did watch.
Still on the show?
Yeah, I did watch that. I guess that was later. That was high school. Katie, when she was homesick, watched Price is Right, soap operas, and then my mom was always really good about renting like slapstick comedies. So I watched a lot of the like Liam Neeson, not Neeson.
Leslie.
I was like, that's not the right name. Leslie Nielsen.
The Canadian guy, not the Irish guy. Oh dear. Yeah, that's a funny mix-up.
Yeah. But I will say it was really fun watching this with my kids, because we started playing this game where we were having the kids like identify the things that actually won't exist in the future, like the things that and they pointed out, and see if you have some of them that I missed, but traffic. That was the first big one. Both kids were like, what the heck? He could just fly around the track. Like,
I
why?
literally thought the same
Yeah.
thing of like, there's no defined highway.
Yeah.
It's space.
Traffic. But again, like that was
thank
playing
you.
off of like the pain that traffic is for, or was for most people, and now
Yeah.
probably isn't as much
But
anymore.
also like most like sci-fis in like futuristic sci-fis in urban settings have traffic lanes. Like I'm thinking The Fifth Element, like they
Yeah.
sat in traffic too.
Yeah.
Total Recall, there was
Yeah.
traffic.
Yeah, traffic. So the kids were very appalled by the traffic.
Yes.
The size of the TV, they're like, the TVs are so small. Why are they so small? Like, it's not like the house is gigantic, but the TVs are really small. They were like blown away by that.
Yeah.
There obviously no portable phones. So like they had phones that like came down to them, but there was no like
Yeah.
tablets or cell phones or whatever else. And then I think the last big one was the mall. They were like, oh, the mall. Like it was like
What's a mall?
Yeah, the like the creators of the Jetsons, be it the 60s creators or the 90 of this movie, were very much like, they're like, in the future people will still want to see each other, and like the now people are like, we don't want to see each other. We'll order stuff in to our house. It'll be delivered. No one will see each other anymore.
It's funny because when this was made, like we just had no idea.
No, yeah. I mean, that's why it's fun to watch.
Yeah.
I think that was probably the most fun in watching it, is because like 2062 is not that far off from now. So like, as crazy as that is to say. So it was
so true.
sort of similar to the game you play with Back to the Future, right? So you're like, we don't have hoverboards yet. Like our hoverboards are lame compared to these hoverboards. Like stuff like that, where it's just kind of fun to play.
That
like,
was epically disappointing
Yeah.
that we didn't get hoverboards, by the way.
It was. Paul found our fun fact for us. So Universal had planned for the film for a Christmas 1989 release, but it was pushed back to summer of 1990 to compete with other movies. Yeah, and I agree, Paul. It was funny where that was like at the very beginning of this movie, they raise up like the apartment or house or whatever to above the smog, and my kids were like, what is happening right now? They were like, what is going on? Yeah, it was a fun, I don't know, it was a really fun rewatch.
Nowadays we're just hoping the smog won't get that bad. I'm like, well, we're boiling the planet. Check out Bill Nye's very wonderful like PSA to us all, like, you guys fucked up. Yeah. I love Bill Nye. Yeah. My thoughts, so they tried to modernize the Jetsons, obviously with Tiffany and the whole pop album of the soundtrack, but then also when George Jetson starts rapping, I was like, I beg your pardon. And then I'm remembering this and I was like, yeah, I didn't think anything weird about this when I was a kid, because you would hear music.
Everyone
like
rapped.
Rap was like, Pete, really, I'm like, that's kind of embarrassing.
It is.
But also it was super normal. Like there was rap in everything when I was a kid. Like it was on every TV show. Like, what was the show? Rude Dog? Do you remember Rude Dog? He had his little hat that would flip up and it would say Rude on it.
Rude Dog. But I will say oh my God. I'm rewatching Sabrina the Teenage Witch with my 9-year-old, and we just saw an episode where there is the
live action one, Melissa Joan Hart.
Yeah, Melissa Joan Hart. Yeah, Sabrina. Yeah, and oh shoot, I can't remember which rapper it was. There's like a poster on the back of like an alley wall, and they're trying to like hunt down and find Salem the cat that's missing. I want to say, this is going to make me sound like a terrible, like all rappers are the same person, but I want to say maybe it was Snoop Dogg. It was one of the like popular rappers of the day, and he just like comes out of the poster and like chats with Melissa Joan Hart for a while, and Scarlett was like, Coolio. Who's that? Oh, maybe, you know what? I think it was Coolio. I was kind of back and forth.
Coolio? And I don't know why this is in my head. Oh, because we just talked about Clueless the other day. Rolling with homies.
That's it. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So, anyways, Coolio
I think it was.
TV and movies back in the day too. Like,
I think it was Coolio, but I was just like, this is hilarious, because this was one of the TGIF TV shows where it was like super wholesome, like for the family to watch together on Friday nights, and we rocked the TGIF. But I was like, it was just really funny, because Scarlett was very much like, who is that man? And I was like, he's a famous singer. And she was like, okay. Like,
No,
so yeah,
he's
it was
really
great.
famous, I
Yeah.
promise.
Yeah. So yeah. So I guess the answer is I'm not surprised that George did a rap. I also am not surprised that
Yeah.
there was very much the kind of, and I don't know if this existed as much in like the 1960s show as much as I like remember of the show, but I did like that it was kind of, it felt a little bit more 90s in that Judy's like at a concert like with her friends and like is like totally high school in love with like, you know, with the lead singer of the band. Like it felt very high school, like boy band
I
crushes.
have
Like
to
I felt
say,
those vibes.
I have to say, if I was like 15 or 16 and my parents are like, you can go to the concert tonight, I would have been like shocked and
Yeah.
yay. And if Scott Moffat had asked me on a date for tomorrow and we were leaving the next morning before my date with Scott Moffat, yeah, I wouldn't have forgiven my parents.
Yeah. I feel like
Totally
they could
get
have
Judy.
just,
But fickle girl, the next hot alien that walks by, she's like, you are now my boyfriend.
and
And
like
she called the
conveniently also sings.
Yeah, and she called Scott Moffat her boyfriend when like I know he's not Scott Moffat in the movie, but that's what we're going with.
Sure.
But like she's like, "Oh yeah, my boyfriend back home, it was also a singer." Well, my former boyfriend. I'm like, "You didn't even get to go
I
on
know.
your first
Yeah.
date." Ballsy.
Yeah.
Love this chick.
Yeah. I love these comments from Josh. So Josh says, ironically, rap and hip hop were the reason Tiffany wasn't as
Yeah.
popular anymore. And oh, good. So Josh is confirming that it did. There was boy band and craziness crushes in the
Yes.
60s as well. It is kind of funny. I
Well,
looked
yeah,
up the
Beatlemania
ages.
was
True.
like
Very true. Yeah.
like
Good
boy
point.
bands were legitimately
Good point.
when the Jetsons came out.
Yeah. I do like I actually looked up the like age difference between Elroy is only supposed to be 6.5 and Judy is a like I think 16 or 17 teenager. I was like, oh, all right. Like big age gap in between those two. It's just like, great, I'm on board for it. Hey, why not?
Can we talk briefly, Rosie, the
Yeah.
house, their
Yeah, let's
house
talk about Rosie.
nanny, maid, whatever,
Yeah.
and also Mr. Sprockets.
Yeah.
Why do
Mr.
all of the
Mr.
maid robots?
Mr.
What's his name?
Spacely.
Spacely, Sprocket, Spacely. He makes sprockets, but
Yeah.
why do all of the housemaid bots sound like the nanny?
Yeah. I don't know, because it was
Like
the
like
60s,
Nanny
90s.
Frine were
Yeah.
like no, but I
Nasally?
mean, like, I was just
Yeah.
no, but like, yeah, but like, they're from Flushing, like,
Yeah.
they're from Flushing, New York. Period.
Because they're
That's hilarious.
they're like snarky, no nonsense ladies.
but it's also the accent, which I was just like, that's wild. Why are they
Yeah.
from New York
Yeah.
and Jewish? Like, I love it. Rosie's the best character. I love when she's talking with the mom, Mrs. Jetson, about like, oh yeah, Judy and her crush. She's like, yeah, I went on a a good date once, and basically was like, and it ended with like banging sex, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
She didn't say that, but she was just
But she
like, her
did.
little
Yeah.
bot eyes go.
Yeah.
I was like, that's amazing.
Yeah, she's
That's how
she's
you do a
fantastic.
kid's joke.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how you do an adult joke for kids. By-
without kids knowing. Yeah.
Implying.
Yeah. Exactly.
Implying versus saying.
Exactly. Yeah, she was great. I did, and this is good for me because as we know, I don't notice anything at all when I'm watching. But I did pick up because we recently over Christmas we did Christmas Vacation, and I found out that my husband Dane doesn't actually like that movie, which broke my heart, and also learned that the reason why he doesn't like that movie is because he like just thinks it's absolutely horrible, kind of the trope that I apparently really enjoy of like everyone picking on the dad and like how hard it is for the dad. But I felt that way a little bit with George Jetson watching this. I was like,
Right?
oh, there was like apparently a trope in the 90s that I just didn't at all notice until like he said that where there like every kind of TV and movie dad, or not every, but a lot of the TV and movie dads like were portrayed as being like hardworking, hated their jobs, like just tried to support the family, like
never
kind of
get
a bumbling
ahead.
idiot, can never get
Yeah.
ahead. And I was like, oh, I kind of like George Jetson is just like trying his best. His boss is a total jerk. Like he
Yeah.
goes above and beyond to like do it anyway. And like meanwhile, like his his kids and his wife are like doing their own thing and having fun, and like they're completely fine, and he's like working every day. Like I have to say I did feel bad
It's
for
like
him.
he's working overtime, and they're like, "Eating, come to my
They're
basketball
like,
game."
can I have some money? Like, and that was like the trope like throughout the series, right? Like he was always like opening his wallet and like handing them money, and they did that at the beginning of this movie where like and they grab like extra money. They're like, we're going shopping, ha ha ha, and he's like sad face
like,
in
I
traffic.
have no money left.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I did feel bad. The one kind of saving grace, though, I will say for this one is that I do feel as though his wife is definitely like much more kind of supportive and less of a jerk than a lot of the like TV and movie wives were in this period. Like she doesn't really walk all over him. She really does like want him to be like, she takes his money, but she does really like seem to care and want him to be.
Yeah, I mean, she
better.
does like explain to the kids like, he's working really hard for us.
Yeah.
So we need to cut him some slack.
Yeah.
I do. So they moved to this asteroid across the galaxy to that's mining minerals to make sprockets.
Yeah.
And there's
that was
all
the
this
other. That was the other
sabotage.
question. Are there sprockets now and in the future? And apparently there are still sprockets, because I was like, what the hell is a sprocket? And apparently
Like a
my
gear of some
family,
kind?
it's like a gear of some kind, but it's like Dane described this, and I'll probably butcher this. People will be yelling like, that's not what a sprocket is. But I think it's like the gear, like in a bicycle, where it like it goes in between like chains, so like it moves with a chain. But that my family believed that sprockets would exist in the future. So potentially we can, if you're asking the Fox crew what they think, that's what they think. All right, so go ahead. They're producing sprockets.
They're producing sprockets. Now, there have been several vice presidents that were running this supposedly fully automated factory.
Yeah.
That's mining and producing sprockets. And everything seems to be going wrong. And instead of figuring out why, George's boss sends him to be the new vice president. He's given this new job, has a raise, but with no actual money raise, just title raise, which I'm like, George, you're a bit dumb. Like you gotta, like, you get the money with it. But anyways, so they go there, and the family tries to figure out what's going on, because the kids want to help him figure it out, because they want to save their dad's jobs. He wants to figure it out to save his job. So they end up figuring out that the drill, this terrifying drill, is going into the core of this asteroid and basically destroying a village.
Yeah.
And then the family
Ewok type creatures.
Yes, I was like, oh, animated Ewoks, not as cute as the animated Ewoks, but also an 80s cartoon.
Yeah.
But very, very adorable. And they basically, the family bands together, and George has all of their support and stands up against Mr. Spacely. I'm like, Mr. Sprocket. And
Capitan Sprocket.
and basically convinces him to do the right thing and like mine safely without destroying these people's habitat. And everybody it's a good ending. So like the little aliens whose home was being destroyed get jobs. They produce the sprockets, and then they sell them at a good rate to Mr. Spacely. Like, Mr. Sprocket, Mr. Sprocket. Spacely, Natalie. and it, it all works out at the end, and the Jetsons get to go back home, which is sad because they've made all new friends in the like 3 days that they were there.
It's I do love.
And she ditches her boyfriend again.
I know, yeah. She can go back to the other boyfriend.
What's her boyfriend? Blossom? What was his name?
I don't remember.
He was blue. He was
half blue, half green kind of guy.
Yeah.
Josh is excited about mentioning the Ewoks. Yeah, I will say that I feel like, so these characters were like, in my mind, I was like, I need to rewatch the cartoon Ewoks. And also I was like, we should watch Gremlins. I was like, the idea of the like fuzzy, cute, but also a little bit
Gizmo.
like mischievous, It felt very kind of, Ewok slash Gremlin
They
to
were
me.
not
Yeah,
given
yeah,
they were
the
not given
Gizmo
water after
Gremlin.
midnight or whatever
Yeah,
it was.
yeah,
When they
exactly.
were still cute.
Yeah, a popular thing. Also, this movie did make me like this
Apollo
vibe and
Blue.
this. There you go.
His name's Apollo Blue, not
Yeah,
Blossom. I called this guy Blossom for no reason. I
sure.
just
Yeah, it was a good name. This one also this one also made me think a little bit that like I feel like a lot of these movies from particularly from the 90s had this like very strong like backstory to all of them where they're like we need to protect the earth and other creatures.
Captain
And
Planet.
yeah, it was very like it was very Captain Planet. Fern Gully is like another one that came to mind. Like it was, and I feel like we don't do that anymore. Now we're like we should protect ourselves and stay
Well, because
safe
what are we
ourselves.
gonna do? Like,
Yeah, it's
honestly,
true. It's over. That ship has
how
sailed.
like we're not even in global warming anymore. It's boiling point.
Mhm.
Like it's not climate change. It's changed past tense. Like what? Like the forest. We just got like what? Like 5 feet of snow, but the forest fires have already started up north. Like,
Mm.
so yeah, it would be a little awkward to be like, let's try and save the planet. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Maybe
But
we
it
should actually just try and save the planet instead of talking about it for 2 centuries.
that would probably do it.
Would
Less
have been
movies
good.
about saving the planet and more actual saving the
Yeah.
planet. I
I'm
mean,
all for saving
really,
the planet.
really, we need to blame Spacely because, as Josh said, he is the closest thing to a villain in this movie. So it's totally
He's pretty
it's his
villainous.
fault. He's pretty villainous. He does
Yeah.
cave pretty quickly though at the very end, where they're like, you can't do this. You can't just make money. And he's like, I'm in it just for the money. And they're like, no, you can't be. And he's like, I am. And then and they're
And he's
like,
like, I'll give them all jobs and let them take some of the profits.
yeah.
I'll sell that to the board.
I I will say, okay, so one moment that we all noticed and I thought was just absolutely fantastic is so again, this movie again was 1990 but is about a show from 1962, okay? And there was a boardroom. Mr. Spacely is having like his board meeting where he's presenting his like I'm gonna make all the money and take over the world. And there's a woman at the table, and I was like, well done. And he even says like gentleman, lady, and I was like, here we are. It's like he's still reporting it to a woman, which I'm like
I mean,
again,
they didn't mention that she made 60% less than her male counterparts, but
she was at the table, which is a big deal for 1960 slash 1990 slash 2062. It's a big deal. Like, it's impressive, you know?
No, that's cute. It's good.
I mean, I would sort of hope it's more like Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, where it's like basically all just powerhouse women. But that's fine. We'll take
Yeah.
one. Oh yeah. Josh is saying his favorite scene is when George finally stands up and says, "No, sir, Mr. Spacely." It's true. That was a good one. One. Oh man, it was just fun. I don't even
It
have
was a
like
fun movie. It was an easy watch, especially obviously mostly for kids.
yeah
I love the soundtrack because I really adore Tiffany.
yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was really fun from start to finish, and it was like a nice nostalgic walk. It totally made me, I was like, oh, they did that really like cheesy Flintstones real life one. I was like, we should add that to the list because it's ridiculous. We should go down the hill. Do you remember that
Oh
one now?
yeah, with
John Goodman I think is in
yeah,
it.
I'm like, not Dan Aykroyd, not Dan
No,
Aykroyd.
not Dan
They're
Aykroyd.
not even similar.
Probably
John Goodman
could have just as easily been Dan Aykroyd, but um
and
yeah.
Rosie O'Donnell.
And Rosie O'Donnell. Yeah, that one was a fun one. That might be up for a rewatch. Now, did you have a favorite song from the movie?
Oh, I need to look up the soundtrack. Hang on.
No. We were definitely grooving. Dude, I don't know if I had a favorite. Did you have a favorite, Josh? I definitely it's funny. We've been watching a lot of musicals lately at home, and every time the musical ends, the kids are like immediately asking Alexa to play whatever soundtrack from the movie. So we definitely were grooving to the soundtrack of this, but I don't know if I know the names of any of them.
Hang on.
Wasn't there that one of them was like
enjoyed.
There was like a really famous named one, not famous, but I always thought I'd see you again and apparently Tiffany said that was her favorite song she ever recorded. Oh, okay.
I liked Staying Together. That was cute. Which one was the one that she said?
Oh, darn it. I just closed it. Hang on. I always thought I'd see you again.
Oh yeah, that was
Oh,
actually, yeah, that was really good. And I liked You and Me. Yeah, I basically really like the Tiffany songs.
I thought it was a nice addition, but I did feel really bad for the woman who originally Can you imagine, like, you're on like a like famous television show and they're like, we're gonna do a movie. They're like, all of you except for you, Judy, you're not allowed in. Like,
Well,
I
I mean,
just
is she
thought,
the only one that like outlived the filming of this movie other
yeah,
than
maybe. I
Tiffany?
don't I didn't look that up, but she was the only one
Like,
not invited back. Like all the
is
like
this like
literally.
the cartoon version of The Exorcist where everybody dies who films it? Like,
Yeah, even
ugh.
this was also Hanna and Barbera's last movie. They both passed away shortly after this one as well. Well, not
Oh,
shortly, but like within. This was the last one they worked on together. And it was the last Hanna-Barbera official Hanna-Barbera film before they sold to, I believe it was Warner Brothers. So there were no Hanna-Barbera films after this. They were just kind of part
okay.
of Warner Brothers.
Well, if you want to know what happened to the shows and why we can't access them anymore, talk to
That would
Warner
be
Brothers, I
yeah, that
guess.
would be it. I was amazed. Did you? So we immediately, as we started watching it, we were like, "Oh, when did when was the Jetsons on TV and like what? How long?" In my mind, I would have guessed prior to looking it up that the Jetsons had a much longer run than it did. It only had 3 seasons.
I think it's just because we had so many reruns, we just watched the same thing over and over again.
Oh,
To be honest.
yeah, that's true. Josh said
Yeah.
that she died in the late 2000s or early
Ha!
2010s. So
See?
see,
The movie is
worth it.
cursed. Thank God she didn't do it. That lady lived.
Oh, that lady lived. But Flintstones had a really long run. Now I gotta look up how long Flintstones was, but Flintstones was much longer. So it is a little bit weird that Jetsons. Um,
It's funny because also being a kid, like the perception of how long something was is different. So,
Six seasons. So Flintstones came out first in 1960,
yeah,
but it ran for 6 seasons, and then they released Jetsons in 62, I think it was, and
which
only
ran
did
for
three
3.
3 seasons. So I don't know. I guess were you so Team Flintstones or Team Jetsons, Nat and live
Flintstones.
studio audience? Flintstones?
No hesitation, Flintstones. I, you know,
1962, 63. But
I
then
mean,
Jetsons was syndicated in 85 from 85 to 87 with the same
what,
cast of characters. So so those episodes were
yeah.
picked back up and watched.
I think what I didn't get about the Jetsons when I was a kid, like I liked all the it's in space and all their cool gadgets and doodads and all of that stuff, and the droids. Obviously, I like droids. Um,
These are the droids you're looking for.
but I think what I didn't get was like as a kid why George was in trouble all the time. Like why was he always being yelled at when he's just doing what he's supposed to do? You know, so I don't know, I was a weird
But
kid. I had a hard time with that.
Fred Flintstone. Flintstone is they're always like
Yeah, but he
Flintstone.
was yeah, but he was also Fred was also clumsy and a bit of an idiot and like
True.
always messing stuff up,
True.
you know, and the ladies usually had to bail him and Barney out.
Yeah.
Or, you know, Fred always had like some sort of like get rich quick scheme that he would drag Barney into. Like so they had more it was more okay because that was more like they were doing things that
Yeah.
they could get in trouble for, whereas George didn't. So I don't know. I was just like, I don't understand.
I don't
Also, I like the
understand.
kids. I liked Bam Bam and Pebbles. They were hilarious on
They
the
were
Flintstones.
hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah. Like Bam
Yeah.
Bam just destroying stuff. Like Pebbles would get them out of it because she was so stinking cute. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
And what
Yeah.
about you? Did you prefer the Jetsons
I
or the
think I preferred the
Flintstones?
Flintstones as well for probably all the same reasons. It looks like Paul is Team Jetsons. I mean, they were close. I also I have to admit I also really like Yogi Bear. That one like lives kind of rent
Well,
free in my
is Yogi
head.
Bear the hey 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 boo boo?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He
I'm like,
goes
I can
after the
picture what he
picnic
looks like.
baskets. Yeah. I don't know.
Crazy accent.
Well, for me, it was always like and this is like total Canadianism coming out, so Americans can make fun of us. But
Yeah.
part of it was also too that there was like this kind of there still is actually for me this like lore and just general coolness about Yellowstone Park that I was just like it's so fun. Like
Like it's fictional, right?
Yogi Bear and Boo Boo like they steal picnic baskets from Yellowstone Park. So yeah, that one. And I think that one actually has had more recent movie versions. I feel like I watched like a
Maybe.
newer. Now I have to look that up. We're just
You know
gonna
what I
live fact check
also
the show.
really what I really liked was the Pink Panther cartoon
Oh, was that
and the
also
Pink
Hanna
Panther
Barbera?
movies. I don't know, was
Yogi
it?
Bear. Yeah, I feel like Josh is like
I like
another
the
favorite of mine. Yogi Bear.
I like the Pink Panther.
Yeah, Yogi.
I
Yeah,
also love the Pink Panther movies. Inspector Clouseau,
yeah.
and
Yogi
my
Bear
favorite
had
was the
a newer computer animated movie that was actually, in my opinion, kind of cute. Yeah, Pink Panther cartoons. I think those are probably also Hanna Barbera. Let's see.
probably.
Yeah, let's go back to Saturday morning cartoons. Like the fun of this is just amazing. I
I
do
have to
actually.
say though, in the 80s, my absolute all-time favorite cartoons were so starting a bit younger, Strawberry Shortcake and Rainbow Bright,
Yeah,
obviously.
same. Obviously, yeah. My Little
Obviously.
Pony,
And Glowworms, My Little
Glowworms.
Pony.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we moved up into G.I. Joes and Transformers, which were
Mm-hmm.
awesome. And
Yeah.
my favorite of all time, Gem and the Holograms.
Yes. Yep. And
Truly, truly outrageous.
yeah. So looking at Pink Panther, which was a favorite of mine, and the movies actually I enjoyed as
I
much
love
as
the
the
movies.
cartoon, but
Peter
which
Seller.
yeah, Peter
Oh,
Sellers great, but those are
so
not
good.
Hanna Barbera. So Hanna Barbera would
Anyways, I enjoyed those. None
yeah.
of those are Hanna-Barbera, but
Well, Yogi
I
Bear
really
is.
enjoyed this. Oh, and I also loved She-Ra and He-Man
Oh
and the
yeah, Sharon.
crossovers.
Yeah, yeah, those are good ones.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But oh, and Moonbeamers.
Oh yeah, Moonbeamers is.
Yeah,
I don't know if I
they were
knew that one
cute. They
as
were in
well.
space.
Yeah, that was a fun
I
one.
don't know. Yeah, they were. I liked it. Yeah, Saturday morning cartoons were such a cool thing. Very. Yeah, what was the one with the first computer animation ever
Ooh.
on TV? Was it something about King Arthur where like a football team, an American college or high school football team fall back in time and they become the Knights of the Round Table? Or was it Gargoyles? I don't know.
Wasn't there that was a movie, right? I feel like I watched that movie recently where the kid goes back in time
No,
to
it
King
was
Arthur.
fully a cartoon.
Oh, well there is a movie version where the
You are
kid
thinking of, I think, the kid in King Arthur's court.
yeah, I watched that one recently with the kids. It
But
was a good
oh,
one. Oh,
okay. See,
Johnny
Josh is
Quest.
Canadian. Josh being Canadian is like reboot. Yes. Which I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for all the people who don't know the
No.
iconicness of the show Reboot.
Reboot.
If you
Paula's
could
mentioning
find it
Johnny
on
Quest,
YouTube
which
or
is
something.
also a
Oh
funny one.
yes,
And
Johnny
Johnny
Quest.
Quest, it was a Hanna-Barbera character. So yeah. And hey, Paul
Yeah.
knew Reboot, so we're there. We're all there. That's a
Oh
good one.
yay! Yay!
That's a good
Sometimes
one.
I don't have. So when Katie first moved to the States and got pregnant, and she's like, I want to buy these books for my kids. And she's like, they totally don't exist in America.
Yeah.
It's really a Canadian thing. Natalie, smuggle me down the following children's books. You
Yeah.
know, like
It's a true
it
story.
we don't always have a concept of like what's American and what's Canadian
Mhm.
and just how Canadian centric some things really are here, which anyways, but Reboot was a phenomenal cartoon. And there's
Yeah.
always been this rumor that it's coming back or that they're going to do a live action, which I'm like, oh,
They should
please?
reboot it. That's literally it's made for that. Come on now.
Right?
Come on now. All right. Well, do
Yeah.
we want to review this one? We didn't talk in advance. What do you think, live studio audience? So this was Josh's pick. And we have Josh and Paul hanging out in the live studio audience. If you want to join us in the live studio audience, we record most Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern. This is not our fault. It's Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern
Yes.
right now as we are recording. But that's because New England and a lot of Canada got hit with a really awful snowstorm
Yeah.
yesterday and all the
Yeah.
power
Yeah.
was out here. So
There's still apparently like tens of thousands of people out of power in
yeah.
Quebec right now, like in
Yeah,
Montreal.
hugs to a lot of people who are still out. There's a decent
Yeah.
amount in New Hampshire as well that are still out, I'm sure elsewhere.
And you can ask everybody that knows me, for whatever reason, my street specifically loses power like at the
Often.
drop of a hat, at the breath
Mhm.
of a wind on a sunny day. I what we always was I knock on wood have not lost power in the past 2 days.
Mhm.
Actual miracle.
Mhm.
Like it's a first.
Mhm. Mm-hmm.
We
Oh,
used
Paul.
to not lose power when the police station used to be on our grid, and then it moved.
There you go. That's a helpful way. All right. So Paul is giving it. I thought Paul was rating that he preferred Jetsons over Flintstones, but he was rating the movie as three spaceships. So all right, we've got your rating, Paul.
I can agree. It's cute. It's serviceable. It has a nostalgia factor in a weird way because, like you said, like in the 90s, it was nostalgic for the 60s.
Yeah.
So today, it's still nostalgic for the 60s, but it's also very 90s with all the pop music and the rap.
It was an unexpectedly fun rewatch. I would not have thought of it myself, so I'm so happy that you suggested it, Josh, because I think it's really, like, it's a great, different option, and I hope that we'll do more, like, cartoons and kids movies, because I do think that is, like, so much of, that is so much of our, like, Saturday morning cartoons were so much of our childhood, and when they became movies like this, it was super iconic. We were like, oh my gosh, like, there's a movie version, like, so I think... I don't know. Yeah, I was in that same phase.
I still make a point to watch kids' movies when they come out. Like I still, yeah, I'm a huge fan.
They're not as good today though, as they were then. That's me being judgy, but
they're different. Some are good. I watched one the other day. I was like, oh, I gotta tell Katie the kids will like this, which they've probably already seen it. But if I can remember, I'll let you know. But
it's a deal. Well, Paul says Judy crashed one of the spaceships, so it would have been 4, but Judy got one. And Josh says he's giving it 4 Jetson flying cars. You're welcome. So I was at 3.
Yeah, I agree. I was gonna say it's a solid 3. It's a serviceable movie. It doesn't bring us anything super special other than a Tiffany soundtrack. Shortly there followed by a new Tiffany album.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we would be remiss if we didn't also, before we jump into what we are watching next week, we should quickly do a huge shout out to our friend Julia, who made the world's cutest the world's cutest potato for us, he's now at the bottom.
This is our official tater.
It's our official tater. We have many names for him. Christian Tater. Sir
Katie's like,
Spud.
what should we name him? I'm like, doesn't he already have a name?
I was thinking maybe he could be different than Christian Tater. I don't know, because he's so cute. He's different. I don't know. He's different. I haven't decided yet.
Todd.
Yeah, Chris Todd. Chris Todd. He could be Chris Todd. I've been calling him Mr. Todd. Sir Todd might be fun. But we also, thanks to Julia, we also have awesome merch. A huge shout out. I know Paul grabbed some stuff, which is just the nicest. So we mostly are doing this just so we can have fun wine glasses.
Yeah, my t-shirts in the mail.
T-shirts. But if anyone else wants to join us, if you go to our website, the VHSclubpod.com, there's a little button on the top to shop some merch. And yeah, let us take a photo. Let us know if there's anything that we should add or that would be fun to have. Right now we have coffee mugs in 2 colors, a wine glass, like a tumbler, a wine tumbler, and t-shirts in a bunch of colors. Not purple yet. I really wanted purple, but because that's like our
it wasn't
purple
a color
and pink.
option.
It wasn't a color option, so I need to find a different t-shirt to add the pink or purple.
I made Katie add a black t-shirt because I enjoy wearing black, which I often don't wear black because I got told that black makes me look pale. I'm like, yeah, hi, I'm see-through. When I was a kid. So when I was a kid, I was told, like, you shouldn't wear black. It makes you look really pale. And it's like, I am just genetically really see-through. But I'm like, you know what? I'm taking my black back.
Yeah,
and I
take your black
anyway,
back.
so I was like, I want a black t-shirt. I had feels about it. And we're not sure if our little VHS tape he's holding, if it will
stand out
show up well on the black. So I'm the guinea pig for that, and we'll see. I'll let you guys
ready for
know.
a live reveal. Get ready for a live reveal of that. Oh yeah, too funny.
Yeah. Katie asked if there was any other stuff that we wanted, like what merch we had. I was like, something for wine, something for coffee, and a t-shirt. We got it.
We got it. That's it.
But if there's anything else you would like to see up there, let us know.
Yeah, that's it. And then the other updates from the world of the VHS Club. I know that a few of you have gone back to our website. Again, that's the VHSclubpod.com. And we have...
I haven't posted a single blog post, guys.
Nat is failing. So you should definitely leave her voicemails telling her that she's failing so that we can berate her into adding them. But there is a little section there where you can drop your email address in. So I know a few of you have done that, and so I am working on getting like just a regular newsletter up so that you can know what next episodes are upcoming, and if we screw up and miss a week, we can let you know other than randomly posting places. So so that is coming soon. So thanks to everyone for giving us your email addresses. I didn't want to send you stuff without just
I'm like,
ad
oh,
hoc.
a newsletter. How 90s of us.
I know, it's very
Fitting.
90s of
So
us to have a
fitting.
newsletter. We have to
Should
have
we
a
also
fun.
should we start a zine?
Yeah, maybe it's a zine. Maybe it's a zine and not a newsletter. I feel like it needs to be like from the movie shelf or from Blockbuster. I don't know. It has to have some wordplay in it, so I'll have to wait
Hey,
for the wordplay.
I saw a TikTok, okay, where kids like Gen Z is actually bringing back the word zine
Oh,
for like
perfect.
online magazine, and I was like, it's been that long that it's actually
Yeah, now
back,
it's
because like
trendy
I'm like,
again.
we made Nintendo generation made that word up, and it's like, oh no, now it's a word again. I'm like, they think they're so clever too. I was like, you go kids, I love that. I love it.
And Paul,
Oh
who
man.
also has his own fourth wall shop. So definitely we'll have to drop his link in as well so you can check it out. I all day I've been rocking my Mr. Moderator mug, but I just set it down and I don't have it here with me. But he says that the next level super soft t-shirt comes in purple. So get ready,
Ooh,
friends. We're going to add a super soft purple t-shirt.
noted.
Just the one. We'll just put one only available in purple, super soft.
And it's gonna be real
If you
soft.
want to go soft, you got to go purple. That's the choice. Yeah.
I don't, but there are so many things about that.
You're
All right.
welcome. You're welcome for this. We're obviously nearing the end of the night. Friday night vibes. Okay, well, so next week, I know we promised Kathy some movies. She's not here, and I don't remember
Yes.
now which ones we promised her. Oh, we were gonna do Fame. Fame was on the
Oh
list.
yeah, Debbie
Fame was on the
Allen.
list. What else was on the list? Maybe other people can
Ruthless
remind us.
People was on the list.
Ruthless People was on
That
the
was my
list.
list. I
That
might
had.
have said that out loud.
Well,
Might not have.
I've hijacked the
Um,
last couple weeks, so I feel like it's fair for you to
we
hijack.
also mentioned Clueless many a times, but I
Right.
feel we do have to do that with our friend Mel.
We do have to do that one with
Because
our friend
she may
Mel.
possibly harm us physically if we do it without her.
That's true. Yeah, and we
Just fair.
want to be able to bring guests on every now and then because we've had actually the joy of being guests on other people's shows too. So,
Yes, we
um,
did.
so
We were
I
on
think
cross
crossing the
streams.
streams with
Crossing the
Jeff.
stream. Yes, I'm sorry, Jeff.
Yeah, that was fun.
It's,
So yeah, maybe we'll bring Mel on for
cool.
Clueless. So we'll hold on Clueless.
We'll hold on
So
Clueless.
Fame and then Ruthless People, Ruthless People and then Fame. What are you thinking? Kathy's not here. She can't judge us. She can, but not until later.
She's totally allowed to judge us. We love Kathy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like Bette Midler or Debbie
Mm.
Allen. I don't know. You know, Fame. Because
I would
then we
do
could
Fame.
do a Bette Midler run because there's so much good material
There are so many good Bette
with
Midler movies.
Bette
Yeah.
Midler. The
Okay,
only one
Fame.
that I don't know that we can watch
I'm gonna
is
live
Beaches.
forever. Yeah, we can't do Beaches. We've already said that
Because
publicly. There's just
like we
some.
can talk about it, but I'm not gonna rewatch it because all the tears.
Yeah, I can't do.
I'm like, that's one of those where I like Claire Danes cry
Yeah,
every time.
I don't think the podcast needs some clear. Paul, I think meant to type Fame, but typed game. So Paul's game for Fame, and we're in for
Love it.
Fame. Love it. All right, so
Fame.
Fame next week. And then yeah, keep those ideas coming because you guys all have great suggestions. And yeah, we'll get some more guests back on. So if you want to be a guest on the show or
Hit us up.
yeah, hit us up or you have some ideas and yeah, let us know if there's any other
I'm
merch
sorry,
that we're
I'm
missing.
laughing because in my head I'm like sliding to our DMs. I'm like, not like that though. So I didn't say it
No.
out loud, but then I laughed out loud. So then I felt like I had to explain the giggle.
I mean, you can slide into our DMs in like a neighborhood blockbuster kind
Platonic
of way,
way.
in like a PG way. Slide in that PG way. Yeah. All right. Well, on that note, happy Friday, everyone. We'll get this episode out through the podcast players soon. But as always, thank you for watching, and like and share and let people know about the show, and let us know what episodes we can do next. We're always happy to hang out with everyone. Great suggestion, Josh. You get all of
Yes, it
all of
was
the
so much
gold
fun.
star potatoes. Gold potatoes for you. This was a good suggestion. This was a very good suggestion. And yeah, we'll catch you next time, everyone. Thanks. Bye.